For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And by the way, thank you to everybody who sent in emails. I guess people are finding me on social media and DMing, and I spend very little time on there, but I happen to get your messages this week. So last week on the show, we were talking about restaurants, and if one bad experience is enough to make you go and say, look, I'm not going back there again. I'm done. I might have had a good meal, but you know, the overall experience, or there was just something. I told a story about our producer, Bonnie Winters, who went out with her husband, and just the entire experience, literally from walking in the door, it was a bad experience. Like, there was nobody at the front to greet them. So literally walking into the place is when the trouble started for them. So it's been interesting this past week to hear your experiences and your stories. So I'm going to talk about some things that have come up, and then, believe it or not, as luck would have it, I had my own experience with our producer, Suzanne, just, when did we go? Saturday, I think, we got together. Anyway, I'll tell you about that coming up on The Scribble right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here on The Scribble. All right, so let's talk about restaurants. And this isn't even, I always hear about them pleading poverty, right? Margins are razor thin. Why does my half full glass of wine cost more than an entire bottle that I could go and get at Trader Joe's? That's just one, but we're not going into that. Anyway, so the other day I got together with our producer, Suzanne. And by the way, we've all worked together for actually, Suzanne's one of the newest, but the rest of us have been together for 20 some years. So, we're old hacks. We're all old friends. But the one thing that I love about getting together with any of our teammates is that we know that we're going to get together. We just don't know what we're going to do. So, for instance, Suzanne, or I'll call her, she'll call me, whatever. Hey, do you want to get together? Okay, yeah. So let's do something Saturday. All right, fine. Well, what do you want to do? We already know not to even ask that because we're going to spend the entire week. She's most likely going to bring it up. But, so what's the plan for Saturday? I don't fucking know. Right? So we will literally get together. We're now coming together on Saturday for said undescribed plans, confirmed plans. And we'll just, I like to drink, so she'll pick me up. And so I'll get into the car. We're sitting in front of the house. Okay, so what are we doing? What's the where do you want to go? What do you do? Are you hungry? We have no idea what the plan is. But I do know this: we're gonna have a good time. So that's what really makes it fun. Is it doesn't matter, right? Because some people, you like to plan ahead and then you get excited for whatever it is, right? Oh, this weekend, yeah, we're going here, we're doing this. We're just like, I've said to her, like, why even, like, don't ask me. It's Wednesday, we're getting together Saturday. Like, it doesn't, which is whatever. So, true to form, I get into the car, we're sitting there, and she just starts driving. Don't know where we're going, don't know what's happening. We ended up at some, like, weird discount store where everything, it's like Amazon returns and things just kind of thrown into bins, and you're like shoulder to shoulder with people, elbowing, and I kind of thought, I feel I'm going to get hepatitis in here. I just feel like this is not a safe place for me. I'm a cheapskate at heart, that it was too much. So we saw the place, like whatever street it was, we were going down the street, we saw it and we're like, okay, let's go there. Because again, there was no plan. We were just going somewhere. So we then, actually, we spent a lot of time in there. I was surprised. I think we were in there for well over an hour. It was very weird. Even though the entire experience, I just felt very dirty. I felt like I was homeless. And so we leave, and then we ended up going to a mall. She wanted to find some kind of a football jersey for her husband. And, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Does he listen to the show? Was it a gift? She's not there. Okay, well, she did not get him a football jersey, okay? She did not. You hearing me, people? Suzanne did not. She did not get her husband, Jason, a football jersey. She did not. She did not. We didn't even look. We did not even, okay? Okay? We didn't. Anyway, so we're hungry now, right? Now you're wondering, like, what the hell does this have to do with restaurants? I'm getting to it. So we ended up, what do you want to eat? Are you hungry? I don't know. What do you want to, okay. So then we're just driving down. Now we're going down a very busy street that's got a lot of restaurants. Oh, I don't want that. Oh, I just had that yesterday. Oh, I had that last week. I haven't been there in a while. Oh, okay. So we ended up going to one that, it's funny because we pulled in and we get there, it was closed for construction. So it looked like it was busy and full because, lights are on. People, you actually get up there and you're like, oh, that's construction. Oh, okay, that's not. Do they have sandwiches or something? Can we get some food? So we kind of struck out on the first, place we went to. Anyway, so then we ended up going to this, like pub kind of a thing, Irish pub or whatever they're called. So we go there and it's about, I don't know what time it was. 7 o'clock maybe, I want to say. Kind of busy, kind of not. And this is something that, so last week on the show I was talking about all of those YouTube videos that people make where they go on rants about restaurants. They'll walk through with their camera and they're like, look, it's 7:30 on a Saturday and there's nobody in here. It's empty in this place. So I want to know if you have you witnessed that? Do you find that restaurants aren't as busy or they're not as full anymore? Now, part of that could be that people are getting a lot of food to take out. So the delivery drivers are coming and going, right? But not a lot of sit-down traffic inside the restaurant. Have you noticed that? Let me know. So we go to this pub and we sit down there and it was kind of, it was actually too warm. I kind of felt, it was strange. So you look at the menu. Now this is the thing. We look at the menu and obviously there's, fish and chips and things, right? Because it's pub food. And chicken burgers are my thing, right? And she knows that too. So she's like, I already know what you're getting. I don't have to look at the menu. Or I don't even have to ask her. I'm looking at the menu. I know exactly what you're getting. Sure as shit, I'm going to get the chicken burger, grilled. So my thing, and again, I've said this before, I've said it earlier, I have a lot of money. So to me, it's not like, oh, I can't afford that. Oh, in my head is saying, there is no reason for this chicken burger and the fries, which probably is the equivalent of one potato. There is no justification. There's absolutely no reason this needs to be over the $20-something mark. It just doesn't. You take a chicken breast. What is that? $2 or $3 tops. Now, again, if it's a restaurant, they're buying in bulk or whatever, it's not costing that much. The actual bun itself, again, they're getting stacks and stacks of packages of buns and things on a regular basis. A piece of lettuce. Okay, right. So two slices of a pickle. Okay, great. The blob of ranch dressing, which again probably comes from some 10-gallon vat from not Costco, but one of those, restaurant wholesalers. So, I look at that and go, yeah. So that's kind of my limit. I don't have like I'm only going to get something if it's less than $20. I don't do that, but I just look at it and go, sorry, when you're charging me $24 for the burger and then the little bit of fries, I draw the line there. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. And then when I look at the drink menu and I see that it's $14 for a drink, or, you know, I look at that and go, I'm already, so if I have one drink and then this burger, I'm at $40, probably more if you add in the tax or whatever. And then of course I'm going to have to tip, even though you did your job basically just walking back and forth and handing me a plate. You know, I'm looking at 50 some dollars just for my, you know, like, it's just, so then it puts me in a bad mood, right? It doesn't make me go like, oh yeah, that was, oh, that chicken burger was, because, you know, let's be honest, chicken fucking tastes like chicken no matter where you go. It's not, right? Fries are fries. Maybe they season them a little bit differently, but fries are fucking fries. Really. Chicken noodle, a bowl of chicken soup, a Caesar salad. You have one, you've had them all. You know, yeah, there might be a bit of a zest to the dressing, right? A bit of a garlic tang or something. Okay, fine. But, right, I mean, like, it's kind of, so I just look at that. And when, so Suzanne had, did she do the fish and chips? What was it that she did end up getting? And of course, I talk about these people for the 5 minutes they're not where they're usually sitting when we do the show. But anyway, bottom line was, it ended up being, because she was driving, she didn't drink, so she had just, you know, whatever it was. It came to $90-something. Can you believe that? Isn't that ridiculous? $90-something. So I think that I had 2 drinks. So you're looking at, you know, probably about $25 right there. And then, so the chicken burger at that restaurant, I'm not saying that it was the 25 one there, but it was around the $20 mark. So again, you're looking at $45, already $50 for me. And then she had whatever it was, the fish and chips or something. And then she had a coffee. And that's what it ended up coming to with, you know, tax and whatever. It was $90-something for the two of us to have dinner. And again, totally different. If she would have had 2 drinks as well, you know, now you're looking at, that's, you know, you're going to add on, let's say, another $25 to that. So it'd be well over the $100 mark. Let me repeat. I can afford that. That's $100 for me is not a big deal. I have a lot of money. I'm not being cocky about it. I'm just saying. But my choice though is that I'm being taken advantage of. There's no reason. Just the drink alone. Half of it's going to be ice, right? If it's going to be a mix, you know, or it's going to be a slush, then it's going to end up just being, you know, half of it's ice or whatever anyway. And like, why? And same thing with a glass of wine. That's what she did. Sorry, she had a glass of wine. Half a glass of wine. But yeah, you know, I'm going to look at $8 or $9, and that's, think about it this way: when you order a Pepsi or a Coke or an orange juice or something at the restaurant, you get the tall, you know, glass, right? The thick glass, whatever. It's full. Same thing with a beer. It's full. Wine, though, you get a giant wine glass. You fill that fucker up. I'm sorry. That's the only drink where it's like, oh, well, you get 2 ounces, 3 ounces, whatever it is. You know, your drink, you might get 1 ounce of vodka or something in it, but it's still a full glass. Might be a little small glass, but it's still full. If they brought you your glass of Pepsi and it was only half, you would say, excuse me, fill up the fucking Pepsi. But wine, one of the most expensive drinks on the menu, if not the most expensive drink, because like I said, it's not a full glass, so it's not like you're getting... And you want me to pay upwards of, it's going to be at least $10 at a restaurant. You're not getting, you know, a full glass of wine for $7. You're just not happening. You're looking at least $8, $9, $10, if not $15 even. And it's not even a full glass. Like, why do we accept that? Why do we accept it? Well, I don't. That's why I'm not ordering wine at a restaurant. Not happening. Unless you can give me a $5 glass of wine. Like I said, I can go to Trader Joe's and get the Charles Shaw. Is that what is it called? Charles is my husband's name. That's why I remember. It's called Charles something. And we have it in California here. It's like $3 for the bottle of wine. Yeah. So you know what? I'm going to buy 3 bottles of wine or a little half glass in your restaurant. Sorry, 3 bottles of wine. Makes me almost want to smuggle in, you know, my own liquor or my own booze when I go to the restaurant. So I think that restaurants are not doing themselves any favors. And what I loved about watching these YouTube videos, like I said, after Bonnie told me the story about her nightmare experience at the restaurant, all of a sudden I come home and now YouTube is showing me restaurant videos, which I've never watched anything like that ever before because I can't stand YouTubers, TikTokers, influencers. I just don't buy into that. I don't give a shit. But for some reason, I kind of thought, this is interesting that it's all of a sudden showing me things that I just had a conversation about because your phone is listening. And so it was fascinating to hear like, oh, wow, there's a lot of people that are just making all these videos because you watch one now and it's going to show me 4 more after I finish that video, right? But you have all these people who are, showing the receipts and talking about how it's this much. And I bought a smoothie and it's $12 for the smoothie, or it's, And so people are just choosing not to eat out anymore. And that's where it's kind of like, you keep raising your prices. I'm not falling for the, buy one, get one pizza for $26. I just know that a pizza does not cost $26. It just doesn't. And I'm not going to pay that. You can try to make it look like it's buy one, get one free. My husband actually kind of fell for that the other day. It was, where was it? It was Little Caesars, was it? Should I name the restaurant? I don't remember. But either way, it was like 2 medium pepperoni pizzas for like $19. And I said, no, that's the price of 2 of them. Again, it's Little Caesars, right? Like that'd be like Domino's. No, $18, $19, that's the price of 2 pizzas. Sorry, it is. It just is. I don't fall for that. And then, like I said, you're going to have the tip and blah, 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 blah. And now you're looking at like $25. That's not buy one, get one free. Nope. Not happening. He can do, if he wants to, his money is his money. That's fine. But I just said, like, I'm not doing it because you just do it out of principle. It's out of principle. Can I afford it? Yes. And I'm not rubbing my money in your face, but I'm just saying, that's my choice of like, no, it doesn't need to cost that much. You're taking advantage of it. So fuck it. Fuck you. I'm not dining with you then. Lower your prices. And one of the things that I think is weird is that the quality, this is something that people in the videos were saying, is that the quality of food is coming down. The portions are smaller. The experience is worse, but for some reason we're being charged more than ever before. Now it goes into inflation and overhead and blah, blah, blah. Not my problem. You figure out a way to make money. Because when we go to a restaurant, we're already expected to pay your staff by tipping them, at least in North America, right? That's just kind of a given. And you hear the serving staff pleading poverty, and then you see them, and I saw videos like this where these waitresses, whatever you call them nowadays, are showing that how much they make in tips and whatever in a month, and I'm sitting there going, no, I'm not tipping then. I'm sorry. If I just saw that that's how much, maybe it's only you, but you're making it bad for your entire industry because you got somebody who's bragging. I mean, I could easily just go and say, hey, I was making $250,000 a year doing syndicated radio back in the day from my own house, which is true, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. At the height of my syndicated radio show, I was making $250,000 working for myself, but I never did anything like that. I wasn't making fucking YouTube videos and bragging about how much money I make doing radio. My staff didn't even know that until I signed off from that radio show 4 years ago. I did not tell anybody how much I was making doing that show. It never came up ever. The height of the show in 2010, 2011, that's how much I was making as an individual host of my own radio show, selling the ads, doing on internet radio. That's how much I was making. But I was not waving around going, oh my God, do this. No, because I don't, that's not who I am. So I think that restaurants are just, they're taking heat, but rightly so. When you charge me $2 and something cents to add tiny little strips of bacon or processed cheese that isn't even real, or a ladle of gravy in a little styrofoam cup, you're charging me $4 for, I've got a problem with that. You can't tell me that big vat of gravy that you probably just had some powdered mix or you have some big sludge kind of a thing that you're just heating up. Most restaurants are not making the gravy. I'll tell you that right now. When I worked at Red Lobster back when I was, 17, 18 years old, there was a lot of fresh food. But shit like that, gravy and stuff, you did not have the staff sitting there making. You didn't have them making the salad dressings. Those came in those big plastic bags or the big plastic jugs. So gravy, $4 for a little ladle and a styrofoam. Fuck off. Fuck right off. No, not happening. And that's something that I said, I wrote a book about saving money and being a cheapskate, and so I've been this sort of expert in money saving. This is what I'll tell you. If you're ordering food and having it delivered, order the burger, whatever it is that you're getting, but don't get it with bacon and cheese. If you've got bacon and cheese at home, that's when you start cooking it up when you see that your order's on the way. You put the bacon, however you do it, if you do it in a frying pan, if you bake it in the oven, or if you nuke it in the microwave, or whatever you do, however you do the bacon. If you got bacon at home that you probably already paid $7 or $8 for that package, and cheese probably just as expensive, slice up some cheese, have the bacon ready, your food comes, you take it to the kitchen, open it up, put your, you're going to save at least, as I said, if bacon is probably about $2.50, $3 to add it to your burger. If it's not already like a bacon cheeseburger, right? Like I'm saying, if it's a chicken burger like I get, it's going to be $2 something for the bacon, at least $1.50, if not close to $2 for one slice of cheese. One fucking slice of cheese. So I've added $4 already to the price of that chicken burger. Don't even ask me about gravy. Don't even ask me about gravy. I enjoy a good KFC gravy, or at least I did. I haven't had it in a while. I enjoy a good KFC gravy, but that tiny little styrofoam cup, you are not charging me $6 for that. You are not. Not happening. Not fucking happening. That is where I will go and say, I've got that 99-cent package of powdered shit in my cupboard. I'm putting that on the stovetop. You add your cup of water or whatever it is that you do, and I'll dip my fries or whatever it is in my gravy that I made for 99 cents. That's what I'm doing. $6 for gravy? Fuck you. Fuck right off. Because it's maddening already, right? The nickel and diming everything. And so you can't go and cry and say the margin, the pandemic hurt our business. You're charging me $6 fucking for gravy? Really? You need to figure out a better way to do business, my friend. That's what's hurting you, not me. You're not going to blame the customers. That's the thing that I can't stand in business, is customers being blamed for things or whatever. No, you made the decisions for your business. If that's how you're operating, you decided to spend $200,000 on with the decor and whatever. That was your choice. I'm not saying you need to open up a dump and have picnic tables and plastic chairs in your restaurant. But, ambiance is one thing, but you need to think about it. You need to think about how you spent your money and what you've done, or the what you pay the staff, or just your overhead, or whatever it is. But you don't blame the fucking customers. Do not blame the customers. You already expect us to subsidize the wages of your staff, so no, not happening. And charging me $12 for a half glass of wine? Yeah, maybe you're giving me the giant glass because it's decorative and it's like, oh, what a fancy glass. Yeah, you actually look really cheap when you're giving me a giant glass that's barely a quarter full. So maybe you went for smaller wine glasses that weren't as expensive, and there you go. Right? Maybe that's a better way of doing it. But I'm sick of it. It's not customer centric anymore, whether it's restaurants or even just retail shopping. And that's where people are fed up. I've talked about that show Customer Wars that A&E has, where you've seen the videos of people flipping out and throwing the food at the McDonald's counter, or the counter staff, or throwing the coffee at Starbucks, or ripping the register or throwing it off the counter, or standing on the counter, or attacking the employees or whatever. Like, customers are being pushed to the limit. So now, let me just say, if I'm going into a taco restaurant, whatever it is, and I'm paying $17 for a goddamn burrito, I'm probably going to lose my shit if there's something wrong with it, or if it's chintzy on the toppings, or it's wrong, or whatever it is. Now, I'm not going to scream and throw things, but I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy at all. And so that goes back to what we were talking about on the show last week, which is one bad experience enough to make you go and say, never again? So I had an instance do we have to go, or what's going on? You're wrapping me up. Tell the Dairy Queen story on the next segment. We'll be right back on the Scribble.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
JB here on the Scribble. One point that I missed out on, I'm going to get to that Dairy Queen story in a second, but I jumped over it. We were talking about how the prices were expensive at that pub that I went to. One of the things that I'd heard from you last week, for some of you, is the price and how it makes you kind of go and say no. So I heard from two people. They were separate. It wasn't related, but I just found it interesting that two people had this experience where they... Let me actually ask you, do you check out a menu before you go to a restaurant? Do you look it up online? Do you kind of see what it is? Or do you just, I've heard about that place. So then you just go, and then the first time that you're sitting there looking at the menu is the first time that you know what they offer. So that was one point. But anyway, so two separate people had said to me, I went to a restaurant, I was looking whether they went with their partner or whoever it was. So they get there, they come in, they sit down, they look at the menu and saw the prices and walked out. So they were seated at the table, looking at the menu. I don't know if it was when the server came to ask what they wanted or if but they got up, saw the price, just got up and left and were like, not eating here. So do you scope out a menu to a restaurant before you go there? And have you ever walked out? Have you ever looked at that and said, I'm not paying that for a burger? And that's usually one of the cheaper things on the menu, right? Maybe the appetizers are, I guess, cheap, but the actual entrees, right? The meals. Your standard cheeseburger, is probably going to be the cheapest, or like a plate of fries or onion rings or something. But even still, that's expensive. So you go to a place and, fries, $7 or $9 for French fries. I've said how many times, fuck right off. Not happening. Ordering it individually like that, not happening. No fucking way. Not happening. So let's get to Dairy Queen because we're going to run out of time. So back to that. Was it enough to make me not go back? So I had a craving for their chicken burger. They've got a grilled chicken burger. I enjoy it. I had it a while back. So I went there. I wasn't with my husband. Why was I? I was there by myself. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe I was just craving it, and so I went. So I'm sitting there, and I'm having the meal, and I just finished, and all of a sudden I saw out of the corner of my eye. First of all, I didn't know that I saw it, and then I was like, that was what I just saw. A mouse runs from one table that was the booth that I was at, there were tables across from me, so it basically went from the row that I was sitting in to the tables across the way. So it went from where I'm sitting to the right, to the tables to the right, and I was like, oh shit. Now I'm not scared of mice, so it wasn't like all of a sudden I'm standing on like, ew, a mouse. No, that wasn't the point. I'm at a fucking restaurant. I should not see vermin running around. So I delicately, there weren't many people in there. It was probably like a late afternoon. I'm trying to think of why was I the only one there? But anyway, it was a very slow time. So maybe this is why, is that people knew that there was an infestation. So I go up to the counter and I kind of just delicately say, I'm like, there was actually like a mouse just ran under the booth. They were not surprised at all. It was like, I almost got the reaction of, yeah, we know. Yeah. And what's your point? The fact that the staff knew this. Now, we in our house years ago, I don't even know, maybe it was 10 years ago, we had mice. Not that we have, big filthy, dirty, but they just found their way in one time. And so we had mice. And we had a guy come in and, do that. But he even says, you don't just have one. No, it's not one. That's not, no. And then in a restaurant like that, that's not one. Not one. So I mentioned it to the staff and they knew about it. And I was kind of like, I kind of have a problem. That sort of rubs me the wrong way. So I did not do one of these videos and all of a sudden I'm going to live stream and go, I'm at Dairy Queen, everybody. Look at this place. I didn't do that. Also because I'm in the media. So I was kind of like, I have a bit of a professional sort of, but I just kind of thought this is something that people need to know, right? This is a health thing. This isn't me just being a Karen. I feel like people in the neighborhood should kind of know there's... Now, it was also... This restaurant is in a strip mall with other restaurants. There's a coffee shop, there's a pizza place, there's a bunch of takeout restaurants in this one little strip mall. So it's not just the mice at Dairy Queen. It could be, this entire... They're all connected. It's one building. And if they're small enough to, squeeze through into this... Dairy Queen is on the end of the... So if they're small enough, to get into Dairy Queen, however it is, whether they're coming through the roof, I don't know how they get in. Same thing with my house. The guy ended up figuring out how they got in, but, I don't... In an industrial building like that, who knows where they're coming in? There could be endless possibilities. They're not coming in through the front door, right? They're getting in somehow. So, after... And again, I didn't do a Karen. I didn't do where's the manager? I was just, all right, you guys know this. That's concerning to me. So I decided... I went onto Twitter... and basically just tweeted, to Dairy Queen, at Dairy Queen, whatever you do. And I just said, by the way, just letting you know, because I'm doing this publicly as well, so there's a bit of passive-aggressive tone in it as well. I just said, just the mice at the restaurant at Northgate McPhillips in Winnipeg, just wanted to let you guys know about that or something like that. And so... Of course, they do the typical, oh no, please fill out this form, right? Because they want to get this off social media as quickly as possible. They don't want the conversation, right? They're not going to start asking you questions back and forth publicly because they want to, right? You've seen this where you have a problem, you tweet the company, very quickly they send you that link or, oh no, DM us, because they don't want everybody seeing it play out. So I DM them or they DM me or whatever it is. And I just go and say, it's not that I have pictures of it, but the staff knows. So the fact the staff knows is a problem. So not too long after that, I get, somebody adds me, his name is Nick, and then I get a DM from Nick. Now, Nick is the franchisor, or the franchisee, whatever, the person who owns that location. And so he DM'd me and said, oh, here's my phone number, give me a call. So, saw your tweet or, heard back. And so I was like, whatever. Now, but here's the thing, is that because I'm a radio guy, and I was kind of like, well, I'm going to record this because I'm going to keep a record of it. Again, like I said, this is a health thing. This is not me just, I had a bad lunch and I'm going to thrash the company or whatever. This is problematic. This is disease spreading. I'm not overreacting. I'm not being very dramatic. That's legitimate. That is legitimate. Mice piss or shit or even just running over the food with their, little paws, that is disease and sickness waiting to happen. It is, folks. I'm not being dramatic. That is the truth. Is it likely to happen? Maybe not, but still. Okay? So anyway, Nick gives me his phone number, and I thought, all right, I'll go into the radio studio, whatever, and I'll call him, recording the phone call. And at the beginning, he's sort of apologetic, whatever. And he knows. And he even says, well, we had an exterminator in and whatever. And I said, Nick, shut it down. 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. Put a sign on the door that says renovations or, technical, whatever, maintenance or, unexpected maintenance. Don't go and say we got a mouse infestation, but just shut it down until that exterminator. Oh, and then he's like, well, we had the best exterminator in the city. Apparently not. Well, these things aren't, it does not just stop so, overnight. And I said, but that's why I'm saying, shut it down for 2 or 3 days. Until the guy tells you, coast is clear. Because when we had in our house, the guy had put out, it was, I guess, sort of like poison or whatever. And he was able to tell, and maybe he was bullshitting me, I don't know. But he's like, okay, it's still full, which means they're not coming and they're not eating and they're not here anymore. Right? He was able to tell, okay, this is probably about 2 or 3. Oh, there's probably about 40. Oh, there's probably about 10. That's what he's looking at that. Now, again, he's getting paid, for whatever, he obviously, again, I was going to say, obviously he wants to get this done as fast as possible. Not likely. Maybe he wants to drag it out, right? But at the same time, I'm likely to fire him. If he's not getting rid of them as quickly as possible, excuse me, he's not working for me for long. So it took him maybe about, I don't remember. It was maybe a week because he came the first time to put out the poison or whatever it was that he had, these mixture kinds of things. And then he came back. Did he come 3 times? So it was maybe about a week, a little bit over a week. And so that's fine. Whatever. I realize you're going to lose income in a restaurant, but that's I mean, yes, I would have shut it down. I don't own a restaurant. I'm not in the food business like that. But that would have been my choice, is if it's the same. Because, so then I say to Nick, do you have kids? Knowing this, you know that a restaurant has mice running around in it. Are you going to say to your kids, here, let's have some food at Dad's restaurant? Or your grandmother? Or your whoever it is? Think about it that way, Nick. Think about it that way. You know there's mice running around your restaurant and you are still knowingly serving food to people. He was wanting applause, right? Well, we've had somebody come in. Oh, it's not that easy in a place like this. Oh, it could be bad. Not my fucking problem. You get a disease. I get a disease. Guess who's getting sued? Guess who's getting sued? Because what's going to end up coming out is you knew about this, restaurant owner. You knew about this. Staff knows about it. Staff is not. So when the staff knows that it's going on or whatever, you're sunk, Nick. That's going to be, you're going to have the health department on your ass. You're going to have, inspections. And so we have this call. It was sort of pleasant, whatever. But then I kind of kept laying into him. And then he offered me free ice cream. That was something that he'd offered me on the call. And then he said, I'd like to have lunch with you. I said, I'm not coming back to your restaurant when there's a mouse infestation. I'm not coming back. That's almost a slap in the face. Oh, come by, let's have lunch. I'd like to meet you. In a rat-infested restaurant? Wow, what an offer. Thanks, Nick. No, fuck you, Nick. Fuck you, Nick, in your disease-ridden restaurant. Fuck you. So, why am I cursing out and swearing, Nick? Because I haven't got to the good part of the call yet. So, we have our little back and forth. We were kind of just going in circles. And I said, you know what, that's your choice if you want to do it. But and when I go into your restaurant and I see you've got all these, awards that you got from the Children's Hospital, these fundraisers and things that you do, and when I know that you know that there's mice in your restaurant and you're allowing me to eat there, fuck you, Nick. Fuck you, Nick. So we're going on, maybe 15 minutes of kind of going back and forth. So the very last thing, and if I could just ask you, could you delete that tweet? Oh, Nick. That is the last thing you want to ask a journalist who's already saying, look, I'm looking out for my community. That is the last thing that you ask a journalist. You've seen these, right? Where somebody posts a review about something and they will then go and edit it after they get a response from the company. I've seen this a few times where people go and say, oh, they asked me to delete the review, or they won't give me a refund until I delete the review, or unless I delete the review. How dare you? You're asking me to take down a public mention that you have mice in you're thinking about yourself, your bottom line, that could take down my restaurant. You've got fucking mice and you're serving food. Not my fucking problem, Nick. Not my fucking problem. Not my problem. Not my problem. I'm getting reactions, by the way, just out of the corner of my eye from Tim, our audio guy. He's like, you just bring it, the levels, bring it, your move further away from the mic or bring down your volume. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Could you imagine? So what do you think asking me to do that's going to do? No fucking ways. Instead, what's going to happen now is after that call, you don't think I'm going to do a follow-up tweet, say, updating everyone? Just had a call with Nick, the restaurant owner, who asked me to delete the tweet about his mouse infestation and offered me free ice cream. We could have ended on a good note, which would have just been, hey, you know what, Jeremy, thanks for, let me reach out to you when it's all clear, whatever, come back, lunch's on me, whatever it is. But, that's how you're going to end it. That is all about you. That is the most selfish thing you can do. Selfish thing. Now, again, like I said, it's one thing if I'm going to just do a review about, the shitty food, service, whatever. It's a mouse infestation. It's a mouse infestation. And you're asking me to delete it like it's not happening, like it's not really. So let me ask you, listeners, would you have deleted the tweet? Or would you kind of feel like, no, I think I don't want diseases all of a sudden now circulating in my neighborhood. I'd rather not have my community eating places like that and then passing it on to whoever. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Yeah, so it's funny because that entire show that we did last week, it didn't even dawn on me that this happened. And so, and like I said, the call was recorded, so I will absolutely say it was Nick at Dairy Queen in Winnipeg, Northgate on McPhillips Street. I've got it on tape. I mean, it happened. It's real. I'm not slandering. I'm not defaming or whatever. That's legitimately what happened. I can play you the call. I can, so live, live @jbonair.com. What would you have done in that situation? Would you have called out the restaurant? Would you have, like I said, I kept it professional. It's not like I said, stay away from this place, rat infestation. But I didn't do that. But I'll certainly do, hashtag Dairy Queen, hashtag Winnipeg, hashtag health, hashtag restaurants to draw attention to it. Absolutely, I will. Why not? So again, live, live@jbonair.com. Are we out of time? Do we have to wrap this up already? I'm getting the wrap. All right, we're overtime. Overtime. Woo woo. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up The Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com. Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some